Tunde, welcome to Diaspora Food Stories. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Good. Doing well, doing well. Good morning there in Oakland. I'm out of Oakland, but definitely we're neighbors when I am in California. And so, first I want to say I'm just excited about this conversation because I have been following your work, especially when you were in New Orleans,
Yeah.
doing the dinners, really focusing on wealth disparities, right? And that was really a time for me when your work started bubbling up. And so just to be able to connect with you is a privilege. So thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you very much.
Good. So I want to, again, I've been following your work. Hopefully, our readers have been following it too. But I want to take this time to really walk through your journey and the work that you are doing that really is mission focused, it's intentional, is driven around bringing up important issues that impact the Black communities, that impact the diaspora overall, the Black diaspora overall. And so we want to go ahead and dive into it. So, first, proud Nigerian immigrant, or just a
hmm
proud Nigerian. So, share a little bit about Lagos and growing up in Nigeria.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up in Nigeria. So I grew up in the 80s, and no, I grew up in. I was born in '83, so I guess I grew up in the '80s and the '90s.
Okay.
Um, and my family was middle class, but really considering what was happening in Nigeria, we were probably like upper middle class.
Okay.
But there's such a if there's anything that characterizes Nigeria, it's the inequality of incomes just across the board. So from the top to the bottom is there's a wide gulf, but even in the top parts, in the upper middle to the upper parts, there's still a wide gulf. So you know, I was proximate to a lot of people who had way more money than we did, but we never. I didn't have everything that I wanted, but everything that I needed for sure. Like my parents
Mhm.
never bought me toys. I have no idea.
Okay.
Like my mom wouldn't buy me she wouldn't buy me like ice cream or something or little sweets on the street. I remember because we'll be in the car, and I'd be like, "Mommy, can I have this ice cream?" And she'll be like, "I can't afford it." Those were her words,
Hmm.
and it used to confuse me because it was literally like $1, the equivalent, and in her purse, I could see it. She had like hundreds of dollars. So I'm like, I don't yeah, like for a long time, like it was like it scrambled my brain. I'm like, what do you mean you can't afford that? I see money, but anyway, uh, we were well taken care of, and we went to quality schools and typical Nigerian family, strict upbringing, at least for my dad, authoritarian, emotionally distant. But provided my mom was very emotionally present, maybe a little too emotionally present, and just supportive. Not Yeah, they were supportive. My parents like really believed and even like overestimated our abilities. But they also pushed us in particular directions because,
Hmm.
Nigerian parents, you have to be a doctor or
Hmm.
an engineer or something.
So, is that what you
Yeah,
wanted to be? You thought
no,
maybe?
I didn't want to be that. That's what they wanted me to be, and then they surgically implanted that in my brain, and I thought that was what I wanted to be. But then when I got to college, I realized that I couldn't. Medicine was not for me. I
Hmm.
kept failing organic chemistry every
Okay.
semester. So, but anyway, yeah. So my upbringing was like it was great. I remember, as a child, it's just so funny. I remember thinking that I was I didn't have a concept of privilege, so maybe I was like 7 or 8. But I remember thinking like I was the center of the universe. Like I just remember like having this idea that you know I'm like I am lucky. I just
Okay.
remember thinking that. So yeah, it was wonderful. My parents were great. They fought sometimes, but whose parents don't fight? I remember one time. I remember how this is how I this is how I learned the word insinuate. I was 9, and I was going to boarding school, and my Mom wanted my dad to buy us like a particular set of groceries to take to boarding school, like
Hmm.
the imported imported kind. And my dad wanted to buy us the local kind because it was less expensive. My mom was my mom made like make these like sly comments, and then my dad got really upset. He just like he shouted like, "Oh, oh, oh, stop insinuating things!" And then he walked off, and there was like silence in the room. It was just my mom and my two siblings, and there was silence, and my mom was just like folding whatever she was doing. And I was like, "Mommy, what does insinuate mean?" And my mom like responded sadly, "It means when you say something and imply." Anyway,
That's
that was like,
cute.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Well, what about the food? What do you remember about the food?
The food was pretty standard. Um, like we ate a lot of beans, which was not my favorite, but my mom would make. She made like stewed beans. She'd make some beans, she'd stew it in some tomatoes, but then
Mhm.
add a whole bunch of things like crayfish, which is really like dried powdered shrimp.
Okay.
Um, she add a little sugar in there too to the beans. My mom would like. My mom used to freak things out, like she would like for real. She would. I remember when um, she was so interested in everything. She used to travel for work, like travel internationally, and sometimes she also and she also went to school in England, like to college. So she came
Mhm.
back with all these notions about food and things. So we'll be like, she would make us like curry chicken, which is what
Mhm.
she had when she was like in London back in the day.
Mhm.
But then we'd watch, like I remember watching something on television, like an ad for curry chicken. I'm like, Mommy, how come your curry is green and this curry is a different color? My mom would get a little mad. She's like, what are you talking about? I went to school and I know how this tastes.
Too.
But yeah, but she used to like we ate all kinds of stuff. Like we ate like beef stroganoff one day, like randomly, like
That didn't even sound right, but okay.
yeah, and then we ate like she would have some people like cook us like sweet and sour chicken, no, sweet and sour pork like the Chinese style, but like
Mhm.
with real with um like pineapple wedges and all that stuff. And she made one time she would make pancakes, but put like sausages in it and
Oh.
different. Yeah, my mom always. So that was like the non-Nigerian stuff. We had a whole gang of that. And my mom would do that, and then my dad every Sunday he would cook,
Mhm.
and he would. My God, it was like a feast. He
Oh,
would like literally.
wow.
There would be like eight, nine, 10 dishes. Like he would just like cook different things, and we'll all sit around the table and eat. And before then, we'll go out to this. So we'll go to church on Sunday. Then from church, we'll go to the sort of like the fancier like specialty store where we'll get like sausages and like ham and bacon and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And we'll come back and he'll make it. And then he'll employ us in the kitchen to like do stuff.
Okay.
But then when it came to Nigerian food, yeah, like there was like beans, dodo, which is like fried plantain,
Mhm.
rice, and stew. We didn't because my mom is Benin, so
Okay.
Edo, and then my dad is he's Yoruba, but is also like more culturally Efik, is another tribe. So a lot of people that I know and I grew up with in Lagos, they have like typical like Yoruba food, which is jollof rice, say, maybe fried rice on a special occasion. Then the soups are okra, egusi, but
Mhm.
we ate different. We ate like afang, which is I think it's the English name is water leaf. I'm not
Okay.
sure. So we ate afang, edikanko. We didn't eat egusi, but we ate like okra. Then my mom would eat owo, which is a stew, like a stew made with um yellow delicious stew. Is made with gari. Gari is cassava, like milled
Okay.
cassava, but you put it inside like I don't know. I have no idea how they make it. It's incredible.
Mm,
And then we'll eat like pepper soup, but from her side
mm.
of things. Yeah. So we didn't eat much Yoruba food, but we ate like foods from basically from the Niger Delta, sort of like you know the coastal area
Okay.
of north of southern Nigeria.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So would you say both of them sort of gave you your base on food in terms of when you became, a chef and started cooking, can you look back now and say, you know what, you sort of got that base from them?
No, I can't. I
Okay.
can't say that.
Okay.
Yeah, my parent, yeah, my mom never allowed us in the kitchen. She didn't like us in
Tradition.
the kitchen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my dad only cooked on Sundays, and then we helped him, but we're just like messing around.
Okay.
But we
Okay.
did we did eat a lot of things, a lot of different things though.
Gotcha.
Like just a wide range of things. And I remember initially I was kind of like, well, not initially, but I used to pretend that I didn't like our foods because I was trying to be non-Nigerian,
Mm.
and I was like,
Now, what was that about?
I don't even know what I was doing because it was weird, but I would only eat like certain things because I didn't want to, eat these like more like really rich and in fact like lavish stews that had all kinds of things in it. But I really enjoy those things, like afan. So afan soup, if you make it, it's called soup, but it's a stew. It's like this leafy, dark leafy vegetable stew, and it has so much in it. Like they'll make it with periwinkles. So you would
Oh,
have like actual shells in it. So you're eating it, you're scooping it up with your eba, which is like a kind of fufu. You scoop it
okay.
up and you eat it, and then you're like, picking out the little, shell, crustacean thing, and you're sucking it out. So there's that, and there's like soft meats of pomo, there's hard meats, shaki, which is tripe. There's dried fish. Then sometimes they'll put smoked um bushmeat, which is like
Okay.
game, so it's the most delicious soup in history.
Hmm.
And I was pretending that I didn't like it when Lord knows that was all I thought. So yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about your journey to the US. I believe you arrived at 16.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my mom wanted us to come here to go to college. And my dad was not really um he didn't really want it because I guess he knew that he probably couldn't afford it. Um, yeah, I think that's why.
Okay.
But he made a big mistake. He asked us our opinion, and we said, "Yes, we want to go to America." What? So he was like, "All right, if that's what you want to do." But he was pretty clear. He was like, "Listen, I'm just I'm gonna pay for what I can pay for as long as I can pay, but we'll see where it goes."
Hmm.
He really like he did his best because you know he earned money in naira. Naira is, a very subordinate currency, uh,
Okay.
and he was paying stuff in dollars. I'm sure he also, spent his money unwisely in other ways, but still, like he was living his life, but he was still supporting us
Hmm.
financially. And so yeah, so that's what happened. Came to uh, they gave us the option to either stay in Nigeria or move to the US, and then we all decided to move, myself and my two brothers, and
Okay.
came to Detroit. That's where my aunt lived. My aunt is my mother's younger sister, so she was sort of like my surrogate parent. My mom came with us. She was with us for like the first 6 months to help us
Okay.
settle in, and then she left, and I started community college that I think that fall, the fall of 16. Yeah.
Okay. How was that experience? Do you remember that time of landing in this Detroit?
Yeah.
There's snow. I'm sure you had to deal with that eventually.
Yeah.
The weather.
Yeah. I remember just being initially not unimpressed, but just like surprised that everything wasn't perfect. I remember the roads were uneven. I'm like, the fuck? This is like America? These roads
So
are
let's
wild.
let's talk about that. What did you think America would be, or did you have any type of preconceived notion at the age of 16?
Yeah, I had all kinds of notions. All of the culture most of the culture that I consumed was American culture, American and to a certain extent like British culture, but mostly American. It was just what was happening at the time, with people like me, I guess. Like the films we watched, the music that we listened to,
Mhm.
the television that we watched, all of that was American. And so if you're watching television about America, anything that is not anything that is not that doesn't like boost, I guess, the American image in the media that we were consuming was always portrayed as a fantasy, right? So, for
Okay.
example, I watched RoboCop, right? So in RoboCop, they're in Detroit, I think, or some city, yeah, Detroit, and they do show like the city as being grimy and um, sort of full of crime and stuff, but it didn't feel problematic.
Okay.
The representation, it felt like a fantasy land. Like I want to go and see that crime. Like it was still, yeah, it was still like intriguing. But then the reality of like coming here and being like, oh wow, this is it's not, it's not perfect.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
and then I remember the first night I came, it was like it's pretty cliche, but I asked my cousin um, who lived in Detroit. I'm like, can we go to McDonald's? I'd
Mm.
had I'd had burgers before because there are burgers in Nigeria, there are burger restaurants in Nigeria, or they were at the time. So I knew what a burger was, but like the cartoons that I watched and the TV that I watched, they had the advertising breaks, and it was
Mhm.
always like toys and burgers,
Okay.
and it just you know how it is, like the buns are just glistening and
They got
you know
you.
they're plump, everything is everything's glowing, and the meat is sweating.
Mhm.
So the vegetables, they're crisp. You can like break the lettuce in half. And I was like, I need to see this burger that I see every day. I need to see it in person. And we went to McDonald's, and wow, that burger was like one of those Cuban sandwiches that are like extra flat. Like a Cuban, it was just like flat and depressed
Oh,
and
didn't
like,
live up to the hype, huh?
yeah, not at all. I'm like, wow, this is not what I
Welcome to advertising, right?
yeah, yeah. So that was like my first, like those were my initial impressions. But then soon after, everything just, even the things that were not perfect, just became such a wonder. I
Mhm.
remember just walking around, the west side of Detroit, which is not anything fancy at all, and just smiling and happy to be in a new place and taking in, you know, just like the houses, how they were, how small they were, how they were arranged next to each other, like the gardens
Mhm.
or the lawns, and how they were cut and shaped. Like everything was is just so different
Mhm.
from where I was coming from, and the people, um, and how they behaved and how they interacted with other folks. Yeah, everything was really exciting and new, and